Good afternoon. Thank you for your patience. It's a long day doing the exit meetings. I think they're an important part of a season. They matter to the player. It's good information for the organization. And as a result, they have ran late, which they do every single year. Just a few thoughts before we open up to questions. 23-24 was a good season in that we became a playoff team again for the sixth time in 7 years. We're disappointed to be having our final media availability following the first round. We're, there's one team, I guess, that's happy when exit meetings are held at the end of the year. Last year, we were fortunate that that was us. When I look at the playoffs, it was a really good series between two very good hockey clubs. Felt more like a conference final than an opening round. I think the difference for me when I look at 22-23 compared to 23-24, when we came out of the All-Star break in 22-23, we were humming. We had struggled going into the break, but we came out of the break. I think only lost 4 or 5 times the rest of the regular season. We're able to clinch the Pacific, clinch the Western Conference. Mark Stone was out of our lineup with his surgery. He came back to our lineup for Game 1, and really by Game 2 looked pretty darn good based on how well he played right off the bat in that Winnipeg series. I think when I look at this year, we turned the page. I felt at the trade deadline a little bit healthier, guys coming back to our lineup. But when I look at heading into the playoffs, so many guys coming back from extended absences. Mark Stone coming back from 26 games or 22 games, whatever it was, that he missed. Thomas Hertl had only played a handful. Alex Pietrangelo had missed 12 going into the playoffs. Will Carrier had missed extended time in the second half of the season. Chandler Stevenson didn't finish the regular season. Nick Waugh didn't finish the regular season. We had a lot of guys that were back in the lineup for Game 1, and it just felt when it was over, when I look back at it, it just felt like we needed more reps. We needed a little more time. I really was hopeful we could get through the opening round because I really felt we would have just continued to get better and better. That was my belief. I believe it's the best team that we've ever had in Vegas. I know when I talked to our players today, to a man, really consistent messaging. Likely you got quite a bit of it in your time with the players here today as well. But just a real feeling of a missed opportunity, a lost opportunity when you've got a team this good and we just didn't quite have the time for it to gel. So that's my thoughts on the season and the playoffs. In terms of what's next, we've got a number of pending UFAs. Stevenson, Amadio, Martinez, Carrier, Mantha, Marchessault, all expiring contracts. We've spoke with the representatives of each of those players. We've talked with each of those players themselves. Contract discussions aren't something that take place post-deadline when you're focused on, in our case, making the playoffs, and then, of course, the playoffs themselves. We've got the next, almost 2 months to work on that. That's where our attention will go next as we move forward with free agency, with the entry draft, with the NHL Combine, with the meetings with our amateur staff. All of those things are where our attention will go next. This off season is going to be longer than certainly than last year's. I think that while it's not what anybody wanted, there are some benefits to it. I know when we missed the playoffs in 2022, It was following consecutive years where we'd been to the conference finals, we'd played a lot of hockey. It really seemed like our team needed a chance to recharge, reset. We came to training camp humble, hungry, ready to go, and turned it into a very memorable season. I think we need to do the same this year. It's going to be a much longer off season than it was a year ago. We need to use our time to our advantage. We need to make sure we get everybody back to full health. We need to be in great shape. We need to use our off-season time to train and be focused and ready for training camp to start mid-September. With respect to injuries, Nick Hague and William Karlsson would be the two players who had injuries. Nick's obviously more serious than Williams. He wasn't able to play. He had a lower body injury that won't be, does not require surgery, will heal with rehab in due course. And Carly had a hamstring injury that he picked up in the series, and it will as well heal with some time and some rehab. So I've touched on a number of things there. The final thing I wanted to just say is really proud of our team, the men that they are, the job of the coaches, the players, the training staff, the equipment managers, all of the people that are involved with the organization. It's a high character group. They care a lot. They have extremely high expectations. They're disappointed, as we all are, because they really feel we could have moved on, and obviously with the goal of repeating. But I just wanted to thank our players, our organization, the people in it for everything that they did this season. So with that, I'll open it up to comment or to questions. I guess I'll give the comments, you do the questions, and we'll go from there.
Kelly, you mentioned this is probably the best team that you've assembled so far, so without getting into the contract situations over the summer, how important is it for you to want to bring a majority of this group back, and how much of a priority do you want to run it back with this group, knowing what possibly could have been?
Yeah, well, last year we were fortunate, right? We won the Stanley Cup, and we were able to bring everybody back but one player. There's going to potentially be more turnover this year. That's just I think where we're at contractually, and those are that's where our attention goes next. And I think that certainly the nucleus is going to be intact, the core is going to be intact. We're going to have very much the same team as what we had this year. Will it be 100% the same? No, not probable that it will be, but I think that we'll reshape our roster and be ready to have a real good team again next season.
The year you missed the playoffs, there was talk about continuity and chemistry not quite being there, and then this year there was talk about continuity and chemistry not being there. But then you also made a lot of changes in the year you did win the Stanley Cup. Like what went right that year that you can learn from, that you can keep doing in the future?
The year we won?
Yeah.
Well, I meant to mention, in fact, I had it in my notes and I didn't say it, extremely close team this year. Again, really great camaraderie, friendships, respect for each other. It was tremendous. What went right last year, I believe I said when the finals were over, it's amazing how many things have to go right to win. It really is. So we hit the playoffs with the team playing at an extremely high level. We remained healthy by and large for the entire playoff. You get some breaks. You get some breaks that you forget. You get Michael Amadio in double overtime of Game 3 in Winnipeg, scoring a big goal to give us a 2-1 lead. Because don't forget the concern you have in that opening series when you lose Game 1. You struggle to start Game 2. Come back to win Game 2. You go into Winnipeg, which any of you know is a real tough playoff environment. So that's a huge goal by Michael Amadio. Game 4, we are able to win there again. So there's a lot of things that go right. So when I look at Game 7, first period we hit a goal post, they go down and score. Well, it's 1-0. It's just not 1-0 the way that you hoped it was going to be. We have a great look at an open net in the last minute of the second period, and could have went into the intermission up 2-1. So when you get down to the margins being that fine, there's a lot of things that go into it. Last year, with the makeup of our team, again, great leadership, healthy, coming out of that All-Star break for the most part, minus Mark Stone. But I think just the ability for that group to, by and large, have played together for the 2 months or 3 months going into playoffs. We added Barbashev, who fit real nicely. Added Teddy Bluger, who did a good job in a role as a role player for us. Jonathan Quick, who added way more to that team than probably anybody in here realizes. Those were the people that we put into our lineup last year, and one of the things we talked about with our team when we met would have been the morning after the trade deadline, and it was brought up to me today in exit meetings, is we put the onus on our team, welcome these new players. Let's get them integrated as quickly as we can. Let's have them feel like Golden Knights as quickly as we can, because that doesn't happen everywhere. I've heard of situations talking to other managers where that's made it really tough for players that have been acquired by trade. And then talking to the players today, couldn't have been more appreciative of how open arms the teammates were to welcome them, how quickly they fit in terms of dinners, how the life part of it, where the wives of our existing players are including the new wives and those types of things. Those are all part of I think those are all culture things. Those are all results of having the right people in your room to start with. I think is a big part of that. So that's a rambling answer that I don't know that it covers it, but I guess I feel we were a bounce away from that maybe happening again, to be honest.
Kelly, you mentioned the turnover that's inevitable with this particular team. What needs will you be looking for in the new players that you'll be attracting to the club?
Well, I think when we get through this process that'll go from now potentially to the opening of free agency, which is July 1st, I think we're going to have a lot better idea as to what those next steps are. Our first priority is to sort out where we're at with our own guys. That's what we want to do. That's what we did last year after we won. We didn't look to go to free agency. We wanted to keep the free agents we had, which resulted in the contract extension to Aiden Hill and Ivan Barbashev. So that's where our priority will be. We'll be just on our own players here until such time that we've got clarification or clarity on where we are there. Once we have that, then we'll look to see what the needs are next.
Marchessault said he wants to come back. Said he talked to you. He said you want to bring him back, but as GM, obviously you have a lot of considerations. Just what kind of challenge is it when you would like to keep a player like that, but feasibly might not happen?
Well, I had a real good meeting with Marshy this morning. We've talked with his representatives, and Marshy is an original. He's a core player. He had a career year, so he's done everything humanly possible to put himself in a good position. We really like the player, and his value extends beyond what you see on the ice. He's a really important leader. He's an important guy in our dressing room. So there's certainly a strong willingness from both sides to have real good discussions. That's what we're going to work on. And with that said, we're not. Nor do I expect will they. We're not going to comment on sort of the ongoing commentary about how it's going or that type of thing. We'll work diligently on it and see where we get to.
Kelly, I'm just curious. You mentioned you felt the team needed some more reps, but you were up 2-0. Coming home for the next two, were you thinking this might work out, or did you think we still got a long way to go in this series?
Well, you always have a long way to go, and to be honest with you, and this is odd thinking, as the series extended and it looked like, well, it became apparent it was going to go 7 games, I actually thought to myself that might be the best thing for us, is to get 7 games under our belt. We need some games, but no, that would be part of the disappointment in the series, that we were able to go into, a real tough building and get 2 great wins, put ourselves in a great situation. The goaltending performance that Logan had in Game 3, and I guess it's earlier I talked about that Amadio goal. Well, they got that overtime goal in that game, and it makes it a 2-1 series instead of a 3-0 series. So that's disappointing. I felt in the series that we got really good goaltending 7 times. I thought that Game 6 was our best game. Game 6 was the game for me where our team felt the most, in my mind, like last year's team, and just had more guys. I thought we played really well. I thought we played really, really well. It's a 2-1 game. It's still an incredibly close game, but I thought that was a game that we played real well, and I thought we played well in Game 7. We, didn't get that goal that we needed, right? And that's another 2-1 game.
Any other questions for Kelly today?
When you look back at the deadline, like how do you kind of look back at what went maybe not as right with Mantha and what did go so well with Hanifin?
Well, we needed a forward. We needed some depth. We didn't have the Hurdle deal done at that time. Of course, it was later in the week. Anthony Mantha was a guy that we liked. He had 20 goals when we got him. I thought he had good chemistry with Carly. We made the playoffs in Game 79. So the contributions that we got along the way from anybody, including Anthony Mantha, were important. And we got to the playoffs. We knew if we were healthy, we were going to have 2 great defensemen sitting out and 3 really good forwards. And I mentioned Teddy Bluger earlier. Teddy Bluger's in the second round of the playoffs as a 3rd-line center. He's had a fantastic year. Well, he was out of the lineup for us more than he was in it. So that's, as you build your team, you need to. We were really focused, and I said this when I did media after the deadline. We were really focused on trying to do everything we could to help this team defend its championship. And I said that because I felt our players deserved that, and that was the motivation behind strengthening the team. So the fact that Anthony played would be the first 3. When did Amo go in? Played the first 3. That's Amo's a good player too. Amo's a good player as well. Noah Hanifin hit the ground running. He is a really talented defenseman. Again, a guy that our pro scouts had a lot of regard for. Nice that probably better than we expected. He's that good a player. I mean, Jack Eichel made the comment to me today. He's played with Noah Hanifin and known Noah Hanifin since he was 9 years old, and he didn't know he was as good. So he looks to me like a guy where the second half of his career is going to be, just at a different level than the first half of his career. I really feel that. He's got tremendous feet, size, length, transition. He's a really good player that's, extending him makes it a great trade. Our cost, which I guess is something I should have pointed out, our cost will be Daniel Miramanov, the 1st-round pick, the 3rd-round pick. Had we advanced through round 1, it would have become this year's 2nd, which is just semantics. I'm not sure if people were aware of that, but he's the right age. And one of the things that we've really tried to do a good job of when we went into expansion, and everybody talks about how favorable the expansion rules were and everything else. Well, when we went into expansion, we weren't able to draft 94s, 95s, 96s, 97s, and 98s. All of those players were exempt. So that's a lot of good young players across the NHL. So we always looked at that in our depth chart is when you pull the drawer open, it's empty. We had no players in that drawer. That's why we traded for Alex Tuck. That's why we traded for Shea Theodore. That's why we traded for Keegan Colasar. That's why we traded for Nicholas Waugh. That's why we traded for Nolan Patrick. That's why we traded for Brett Howden. That's why we signed Zach Whitecloud. That's why Jack Eichel, Noah Hannafin. Those guys all go in that empty drawer that we had access to not one player in expansion. So those are all players that we've acquired through trade that the oldest of are 27 now. So we've got a real, you've got some high-end players on our team, but we've got a real good core of good NHL players that have grown up in our organization. You forget that we traded for some of those guys because they've been here as long as they've been here, right? So I think that, that's really important as we move forward. The question's being asked, but what will the team look like? Well, there's a good core there. There's a real good core, and it was not easy to acquire. We worked hard. Logan Thompson goes into that drawer. Aiden Hill goes into that drawer. So I should have wrote him down. But that's a real important approach that we took in terms of the organization. And yes, we've done some bold things. Yes, we've done made some big trades and everything else. But I just think that steadily adding to that portion of our depth chart has been really good work.
Kelly, you just mentioned the goalies. Obviously, both up and down throughout the course of the year, but with the way Logan and Aiden both performed in the postseason, does that I don't know if reaffirm confidence is the right way to phrase it, but how pleased are you with the way that they performed? And I guess going into next year, how much can they build off that?
Yeah, the big thing for me, Danny, is just the health. I think they've been good goalies for 2 years, and I just if they were both healthy, I think they'd both be better, because I really believe in a 1-1A platoon style. I really do. Just the health has been the issue, and both guys had great stretches, right? I thought again, making the playoffs. I thought Logan got us a lot of really big wins. I know when I talked in here at the end of the regular season, I referred to that 4-game trip where we went, St. Louis, Nashville, Winnipeg, Minnesota, and LT was great. That helped us get in. He deserved to play when we started the playoffs. Then you've got the ability to go to Aiden Hill in a series. I think that's a great option. That's a great option, and he played real well. So the goaltending was good all 7 games. That was the strength, I thought.
Kelly, with the salary cap going up to $87.7 million or in that neighborhood, how will it help you in your attempt to maybe hang on to some people you want to hang on to, or pursue people that you want to pursue? And as an aside, you were just talking about goaltending. Robin Leonard is still under contract for 1 more year. He remains on LTIR. Is his situation such that he can stay on LTIR, or do you foresee a point where he plays again for the Golden Knights?
Well, two questions. The cap going up gives us exactly that many dollars of extra space to try to agree on deals with free agents. Our priority will be our own. You mentioned going to the market, and there may be a point where that does happen, but it won't be the priority in the early going. With respect to Robin, if he's unable to perform, which could be the case, then he would remain on LTIR. That would be how his contract would work.